Well, that was something. That was something. Okay, and we welcome you guys in to another episode of Catching Up with Coach. I am your solo host for the evening, Coach Trey, and I will be candid. There is a bit of a different setup here. I am incredibly disappointed and frankly frustrated with that. I have, so long story short, and for those of you that don't know, I do this entire show on my end from obviously from a computer. That computer has, for whatever reason, decided that it does not want to cooperate with browser settings. It's likely an update thing. So then I ended up updating it and then using a different browser. I've used it in different modes. I mean, I've tried here, there, and everywhere. I pay entirely too much money for speedy, fast internet. I can assure you of that. So, unfortunately, because of that, I am going mobile on the old personal device here. So I am incredibly thankful that I've got phone battery. Thank God. But the show goes on. You understand? Not only does the show go on, but the show must continue to go on no matter what circumstances take place. And I can also just give you a little earlier. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move this over just a little bit, if that's cool with everybody here. Here we go. I spent all this money on a mic. I spend all this money on a mic and getting things situated. I can't even use any of it in this episode. I've got studio quality headphones, can't use those, and we're here back to the old traditional wired biddies, because apparently the audio sounds a little bit better with these than do the AirPods. So for those of you that are live and streaming in with us tonight, we insurmountable, massive, emphatic thank you for putting up with obviously a late go here, and then obviously dealing with the little bit of intricacies that is our audio and visual setup for today's evening. But that is not going to stop us from getting into all the things that it is that you guys want to get into tonight. And if I were to be completely honest with you, I would be an idiot if I didn't go live tonight. As a matter of fact, there is a huge part of me that wants to go live tonight and tomorrow night. But for the sake of having, unfortunately, a on-location work meeting for the duration of this week, starting Wednesday, I will not be able to do that, and there are some things that I have to prep in order to do that. But the show goes on, like I said, and there are certainly a couple of things that we want to get into here this evening as it pertains to what we saw, some of the things that maybe we didn't see and maybe we're hoping to have seen already. And then as we see it coming down, what's going to be another week of obviously LSU playing a team that they have no business playing, but because of how the NCAA is structured, these games continue to happen. So please like and share. Incredibly helpful if you guys could do that for us. Obviously, it postures us up to the top of your preferred YouTube videos. So every time there is a new, whether it's a YouTube video or a short, or whatever the case may be. Haven't dabbled into the shorts yet, but certainly hoping to do that as we kind of come down the tracks here. It allows us to be basically in your little algorithm. Like, so every time you open the app, it just assumes that you'll want to watch a Catching Up with Coach or a Break the Chalk video or the Russo and Goodwin show as it stands currently. And so hopefully you guys can get into that. Now that we've gotten over the like and share, obviously you guys can see that this is a different setup. So please just bear with me. For those of you that are just joining in and tuning in, this is a different setup. I'm on my phone. There is a disgusting amount of computer issues that I've been dealing with for the past, not only several weeks, but several hours, literally today. I mean, it is currently 6:49 local time on your CST clock there. And I have literally been dealing with this for at minimum 2.5 hours. I've been on the phone with several different people trying to get this fixed, but unfortunately we could not get it fixed in time for the show tonight. So we are going to operate with what we have available. And I'm certain that someone's going to join into the show while we're breaking down the game and asking the question. So I would please just advise that everybody just bear with us for tonight. Let's get into what it is that you all want to talk about, and that's obviously the nuts and bolts of the LSU football game. So, just to summarize and recap super quick, sorry that we're late. Technical difficulties. I know it's a different setup. I'm very aware of that. It makes me angry. I've been sweating because of it. We're going to deal with it for tonight, but going forward, this will no longer be an issue, I can assure you. So just please just bear with us. So now that we've accomplished that in less than 6 minutes, what is it that you guys would like to get in here? So the main question that everybody wants to ask, and I think first we'll cover it because obviously we have now had the ability of hindsight with the press conference, is that Brian Kelly did come out and basically answer, I guess, kind of everything that you wanted to have answered before you went to sleep on Saturday night. Obviously, the post-game press conference kind of went off the rails a little bit. Nothing really unfamiliar to a college football coach. Emotions are high. He answers a question from a local media reporter. In this instance, it was Michael Cobble, who's been doing this for a super long time. Absolutely talented and very fair question that he asked. And Brian Kelly kind of took offense to it in the way. I think maybe if you ask that question, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 questions in, maybe do you get the same response? Possibly. But in that answer, if you didn't see it, it's all over Twitter. Or X, whatever you want to call it at this point. And he blew up. And in essence, all he asked was, what's wrong with the offense? And in the way it was postured, he kind of took it as, the way he took it and made it seem as though he painted it into a light to say, why are you complaining? We just won the game. Okay. And there's been several people, most of them football players and post football players, media folks like, the alike, whether they're local or abroad, saying that they agree with Brian Kelly in the way he handled it. You're protecting the players. I think he knew that he probably could have done a better job of answering the question that he didn't like. And even if he didn't want it, he knew he was going to get it. And I think he just wasn't expecting it to be the first question that he got. But he did apologize to Michael directly in his media press availability today. And so did the right thing. Good for him. But I guess we can't really go too much further into the show without addressing the things that he was talking about, and that's obviously the offense. And so with the ability to go back and look at, what it is that you watched, I strongly would advise, and that's why I'm so pissed off about not being able to be on my computer, because I had like 4 or 5 tabs open. We were going to be able to share screen and kind of look at individual plays, which, again, I wish that I have a meeting for those of you that weren't tuned in earlier. I have a meeting later in this week. So I really would love to go live again later in the week and kind of break some of this down, what I'm not going to be able to do because I'm on my mobile device. So that's aggravating as crap, but whatever. Some of the things that we saw in this game, one of which was a very, very different kind of game. It was the kind of game that you last year, you were probably saying that we needed more of this from like you didn't have any of what you had in this game last year. As a matter of fact, it was in no way the same kind of football game with Florida this year and last year. Matter of fact, it couldn't have been more polar opposites. You had all of the offense, all the time of possession, and found a way to lose the game by giving them opportunities to win, not being able to punch it in, which, of course, that was that kind of bit you in the butt again. But this year was completely different in that you really never even had a consistent ability to go and even try to give your offense the ability to have consistency because your defense was just basically doing all the heavy lifting for you. Now, you can certainly make the case that Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly or Garrett Nussmeier, whoever it is that you wish to blame, did not help themselves in that matter, which is, pertains to Brian Kelly's question that he got in the presser that he was all, red-assed about, is the offense. And it seems clunky. I'm not going to go as far as to say that he needs to get involved. To be honest with you, I kind of found it funny that he wasn't already involved from the get-go, considering he ended the season involved. Does that mean that maybe you're giving a little bit of what you were doing to, Alex Atkins? If, for those of you that don't know who Alex Atkins is, Alex Atkins was the Florida State offensive coordinator. Obviously a terrible season last year. He was the guy to boot in the instance. There obviously has to be, someone's got to take the hit for that. and unfortunately it was Alex Atkins, but he is an incredible offensive line coach, an incredible recruiter, somebody that fought very, very hard to get Solomon Thomas for, which is, the number one interior offensive lineman in the country. He ended up choosing LSU over you whenever Coach Atkins got fired from Florida State. And now he is your tight ends coach and your run game coordinator. So is some of that play calling going to him, or is he not getting any play calling? So we're really not sure. But I will say this, for those of you that are tuned into the show, first of all, thank you. Please like and share if you could. For those of you that are tuned in, if you have the ability when the show is over, please don't go do it right now, because I need you locked in with me here. Go and listen to the Brian Kelly press conference and fast forward in just a few minutes, and then listen to how he answers the question. He almost gives away a little bit too much and kind of revealed his hand in the matter of how he's handling it. It's almost like he almost said, I'm holding them back, and not holding them. I'm putting the brakes on it. Like, I'm pumping the brakes. Hey, we don't want to do that. We're not going to throw the ball down the field. We're not going to turn the ball over. Let's not give their offense any more possessions. They're already shooting themselves in the foot. If they can't beat our defense, let's just go win the football game, and let's live to fight another day and work on this maybe in practice. But what the fans want to see is they want to see you work on it in the game. There's no better time to do it than live reps, right? Live bullets. There's no better time, because clearly you can script these things in practice and kind of get the look that you want. Whereas when you're playing a game, you obviously are, you're giving up that ability to know to the other team. So the thing that I struggle with is, it's not necessarily that I don't understand what they're trying to do. It's that they're not even executing in the things that they are doing. So I'll give you a perfect example. When you have three receivers on the field and you're out of the gun, and Caden Durham runs an out or a route or a wheel or a drag or a now or whatever, it is okay to give your running back catches out of the backfield. Matter of fact, that was one of the keys to victory that we talked about for the last 2 weeks. And I am not uncomfortable with you doing that. What I am uncomfortable with you doing is you not looking at Berrien Brown running 58 miles an hour down the seam with nothing but him and the Louisiana Saturday night between him in the end zone. And you, again, we're throwing and running against a Florida defense that is good. Like, let's not make any mistakes, and let's not, put socks on centipedes here. I'm not going to waste your time. In other words, that's a good defense. And I am not playing devil's advocate. I am not trying to bolster up my team because I live in Baton Rouge. I'm here to tell you that defense is every good and, in my opinion, better than the one that you saw at Clemson. Now, was I one of the people telling you early on that Clemson was going to be one of the best people that you played all year? Yes, I was. And do we feel a little bit less like they're that dominant? Maybe. And that's fair. However, to still go on the road in that hostile environment is an incredibly impressive win. Does it look less impressive? Yes. But literally anything is less impressive than a top 5 win on the road. So there was only one way for it to go. Unless Clemson was the best team in the nation, then clearly and obviously that's the only way that it could have been made better. But the fact of the matter is that Florida has a good team and has recruits all over the place. They also play the NIL game. They've got players. What they don't have is discipline. And there were several plays on offense in which you had the look that you wanted and then would check out of it and then run something different that didn't work, like running directly into fits that don't work. You've got, you're basically throwing the ball to Caden Durham out of the backfield, and you're not even looking for, unless it's just drawn up to be that, and you're just trying to get people away from you. And again, if you're just trying to spread them wide, like Ole Miss and Tennessee does that, they basically have sideline here, receiver here, just to try to get people as far away as possible, such as to have as much space as possible. And if that's what you're doing, okay. But I still need you to look down the field. And so in the press conference, Brian Kelly did say something. And so it kind of felt like this was talked about a little bit. We certainly didn't cover it on the show because we're not privy to information like that. I mean, you hear the whispers, whether it's on social media or, people that whatever the case may be. It's a small town. You do with that information what you will. That there was a injury to Garrett Nussmeier of the abdomen, upper body variety. Brian Kelly certainly made note of that in the press conference today. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It kind of felt like that was a little cap. Obviously, it must not be for him to bring it up like that. Else, why would he? I mean, there's no way that he's going to come out and brazenly lie about that. Well, I shouldn't say no way. It's a football coach. So, but he comes out and says that Garrett Nussmeier has an injury. Is that the reason why he's not throwing the ball down the field? Absolutely not. We're not using that as a cop-out. We're not doing that here. But what I will say is that you are not going to make me believe that does not have a limiting factor in the matter. And if you suggest that it doesn't limit him in that manner, then you're lying to yourself. The truth of the situation is that you are not good enough in running the football, and we know that. But even when you are trying to run the football, you are not blocking well enough in certain positions to even give your running back a chance to know whether or not the hole is there. Pause. I'll give you a perfect example. So Weston Davis, somebody that we've talked about on the show. This is somebody that's a highly recruited kid. This is his time to shine. It's the next man up. He's at your right tackle. Weston Davis is good in pass pro, good enough, and definitely better than serviceable. Matter of fact, his PFF, which I know is a very flawed metric rather. The PFF suggests that he is much better in pass protection than run protection. We can clearly see that. Run blocking for him has been frankly a nightmare. Did he go against, dominant edges 2 out of his first 3 games of the year? Yes, he absolutely has. But it's just not working. And when you're just slamming your head into a brick wall, at some point you're going to get a headache and stop. So at some point, Joe Sloan just stops. And the difference is that last year you didn't have the ability to just rely on your defense and punt, which, by the way, hats off to Coach Ahmad Anan in getting us where we need to be with getting the football to the other end of the field. There is something to be said for you to be able to flip the field. And I will say this. I am not typically the person that goes for it on 4th down. Now, granted, you had to be last year because you really didn't have the defense to rely on it. But, brother, Grant Chadwick is flipping the field like he's getting out of bed in the morning. Like he just takes a deep breath, gets a glass of water, takes vitamin C and B3, and bingo, flips the field. It's like the first thing he does in the morning. So hats off to him for being able to do that, because you are now relying on your defense to carry you, and that is 100% what you did this game. There is no argument against it. That is what happened. I don't want to hear it. But if you're not going to be able to do that, so what can you do? What are you good at? And that's throwing the football. That's what you saw last year. They would go for it on 4th down. 3rd and 8 and third down in general, you led the country. Why? Because you were constantly in it, and you were constantly having to convert, and you're calling 2nd down plays on 3rd down because you had to convert, and you were going for it on 4th literally all of the time. And so what you're now seeing is a different momentum to where you're now flipping the field and playing defense and going, beat us. Beat us. We'll get it. We'll get across the 50 and get in a field goal range and hopefully 7-point range at some point, but beat us. Beat this defense. And people, so far have not been able to figure out a way to do that. So I will just say hats off to the people that are talking about it, being about it, and calling it out for what it is. But at some point you do have to, be realistic with yourself and what it is that this team is. And this is a defensive first football team, and the offense is just going to have to come along as it plays, better teams that have better defenses or better offenses. Shout out to my boy T Fox in here. So you weren't in here when we started. I'm on my mobile device. We're dealing with some computer issues. I apologize for the way that it's set up. Bear with me. But again, fast forward to the end of the game, we're leaving. Like, we're getting out to try to walk to the car. Game's over. Fifth pick. It's over. And I apparently missed. I had to go back and watch on the TV. I missed us line up in I formation with Jack Pyburn at the fullback, Bauer Sharp as the other, H back up, and we run it perfectly. We're blasting, but we're blasting people. I mean, like, it was almost as if you just like went back 15 years, and I'm like watching on my phone. I'm literally walking to this. I'm like walking to the car, and I'm literally going. Like I'm looking back at the stadium 400 yards away, like wondering if I just left the same game, because we just ran for 51 yards down at the 3. We didn't line up in that formation once all game, and we do it with 1:50 left in the. I don't. At least you can do it, right? Now Florida kind of lined up dumb to allow you the help of being able to run that, but I mean, Jesus Christ! So you mean to tell me all we needed was to line up in the power I? Like, you need a Jack Pyburn as your fullback? Okay, get his big ass back there. Let's do it again. Let's run it on 3rd and 2, because there's no other thing we can run on 3rd and 2, and you're certainly not going to go you run your quarterback and try to slam face mask for 2 yards. Not if he's got an abdomen injury. So, Jesus, I mean, you have to be able to do that when everyone knows that you're doing it. So, and every football team known to mankind does it. Georgia has done this for freaking 10 years at this point. Just run the ball by whatever means necessary. So what I'm trying to say is, whether it's right tackle issues, okay, so go give Carius Kern run. You had him pushing Weston Davis in the offseason anyway. Why not give him the run? You're playing Southeastern this weekend. Give him the opportunity. Maybe he gives you something different. This is exactly what happened with Emory Jones. However, the difference is that it was due to injury, and it was mid-game, Mississippi State. I'll never forget it. So it's like, you have to do – or was it State? I think it was State. Someone in the comments tell me if I'm tripping, but I'm pretty sure it was State. I'm also sure that I was drinking at the football game, so whatever. But whatever. Whether it's a Garrett injury, a right tackle not fit, whatever the play calling misunderstanding, whatever the issue is, it is clearly not working. And whether or not Brian Kelly is putting a governor screw on the whole operation is completely unrelated to reality, in that running the football comes down to desire and comes down to fundamentals and discipline. Are you going to be disciplined in the technique that it takes? And are you going to have the mentality to do it? Now, for those of you that do not know, and again, this is based on listening to more intelligent people than myself. I am not creating this understanding of running the football. I'm just a person that's just watched a lot of college football. We don't really so far get to the linebackers, aka the second level, too well. So what it looks like to me is that whenever you want to run the football, we just never get past the first assignment. Like, everyone next to each other doesn't really know what everyone's doing. Like, it's like Braylon will get off his block and want to go to the next level, but like, he'll see out of the corner of his eye that, Paul Mubang is not getting to his guy, or Cohen Eccles is not getting to his guy, or, whatever the case may be. It's like he'll go to the first one, and then we'll never move past it. Weston Davis can't get past like the first job that he has, and because he's having struggles with it on like one, first and second down, it's like your guards and your centers are like knowing that in the back of their head, and they have like peripheral vision out the side to make sure that like he's got his thing going. So, when they go to provide help to make sure that he's got his first assignment, then they lose their second assignment, and then it goes to hell in a handbasket. And then everyone's in the backfield, and it's just a hodgepodge. And then Caden Durham and Caleb Jackson and Harlem Berry and Juwan Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier, no one knows where to run at that point. So it's just becoming very difficult for me to understand why this is so hard for them. And again, I understand this is the first time they've played together, but this is still coming down to individual jobs. And this is what Brian Kelly talks about till he's blue in the face or red in the face if you've watched a BK game. Do your job. Do your job. Granted, as an offensive lineman, your job is to also worry about what other people are doing in unison, but you must do your job and trust that homeboy next to you is doing his. Else, we're literally never going to get better at this. And the only way to do it is to really just provide more people on that side of the ball to do it. And if that means the power eye with Jack Pyburn, sign me up, dog, because it was done beautifully. It was done beautifully. Like it couldn't have been done much better than what we did in the one play we ran from power eye with a little bit of swing out. I mean, it was awesome. It was a thing of beauty. Russo and I pull that play out all the time, whether as it relates to I formation when we play NCAA, literally all the time. So I'm just here to say that if that's what you have to do, Jesus and all the apostles, just do it. Okay, I'm getting wild hands because I don't know what else to say. So we've talked about the Nuss injury. We've talked about BK setting it off in this thing in the press conference, and we've also talked about your right tackle issues and maybe not being able to run the football. So before we get to my most favorite topic of the night, we're going to talk about one glaring issue, and that's called down the field blocking. Okay. So for those of you that are frustrated with down the field throwing the ball, yes, it's an issue. I don't know how much more you want me to say. Clearly, I want them to throw the ball to Chris Hilton. Clearly, I want them to throw the ball to Barry and Brown. Obviously, I want them to throw the ball to Nick Anderson. They're literally uninvolved in the offense as it relates to going down the field with, deep threats. However, there are some things that I did see that our receivers are doing well. So for those of you that texted me personally, we spoke about, people like Xavier Thomas being lined up in the X. For those of you that don't know what the X is your far boundary receiver, usually more of a bigger body, get up and go, come down and snag it by any means type of receiver. And Xavier Thomas doesn't really fill that mold. But and again, this is why I'm mad I can't do this from my laptop. Go on Twitter and look up Xavier. Just type in Xavier Thomas, and I assure you, him pancaking and basically flipping double birds to the Florida defensive back, whose name I wish that I could have, on my paper right now. Literally pancakes him off the line, smashed his ass into the grass, and stared at him, laughed at him, and then moved on to the rest of the play. Xavion's doing a lot of good stuff, man. He's doing a lot of good stuff, and he's doing the kinds of things that football coaches will reward you extra plays with, and whether that is based on desire or whether it's based on his sheer moxie, whatever it is, you need it on your football team, and you really need it when it comes to the offensive side of the football. And that dude is blocking down the field. He's catching touchdown passes. He is running the football at an excellent rate. Obviously, he is one of the better running backs, not only the better running backs on your team, but one of the better vision running backs in the SEC. And we've known that because he's a punt return specialist and a kick return specialist. So they're going to give him opportunities to play. What I can't really understand is the Chris Hilton thing. And again, I understand people are pissed off. You've got a Ferrari in the patio. Bro, let him run, man. Just please, dear God, let him run. So Aaron Anderson, I mean, you're seeing blocks from Aaron Anderson, 30, 40 yards down the field, and he's throwing his body on the line to block. So you've got guys willing and able to do dirty shit. And I hate, and I'm sorry for those of you that might have kids listening. guys, when you have people willing to do dirty work, that's nasty. That's nasty work. That is what a coach is going to keep you on the field for. If you are not going to do those things, it feels like with this current offensive structure, BK doesn't want you on the field. Or at least Cortez Hankton doesn't want you on the field, I guess, because it seems as though they're trying to, whether it's from injury, limit him from throwing the ball too far down the field. His mechanics kind of feel like someone that's injured, as in Garrett. But, dude, they're just keeping the ball conservative. They're keeping the play conservative, and they are daring you to try to beat this defense, bro. It's just how it is. And I know that it's not sexy. It's not aesthetically pleasing. People are pissy. People are tweeting about it. I get it. We saw Chris Hilton literally end the year last year and this offense in general, and it was just all game. Like, we're used to it. And I know that y'all want that. But y'all got to be patient. You just got to be patient. I'm at the gym, but get them caught up, Coach. We've been talking about the Garrett injury, the BK press conference news, some of the offensive woes and struggles, and so we're currently talking about maybe the system as they're running it right now, and then maybe what we can look forward to going into the weekend. T-Pat, it just feels like that's how this football team is going to live for right now. Now, the argument to that is this coming week you've got Southeastern, an in-state school, and you better go in there to shove them in a locker for 4 quarters, work on some stuff, and get your starters out of the game. Because I swear to everything that's good and Christian in this world, and I shouldn't do that, but I'm gonna be a bad Christian on social media if more football players are injured because they're on the field in the 4th freaking quarter because you can't close out Southeastern. I'm gonna lose it, bro. I'm gonna lose it. Okay, and I'm I'm gonna lose it. Go and assert your dominance. Go and do the things necessary that are necessary in order to win. And I don't even want to get into what all those things are outside of dominate your job. Do your job. Offensive line, defensive line, receivers, running back, quarterback, linebackers, safety. Like, just do your job, and this will become easier. Joe, open it up. What do you have to lose? You literally would have to fall off of a cliff to allow them to be in this game. Open it up. If for no other reason, just open it up a little bit just to show the fans something fun so they can leave you alone. The argument is to maybe not open it up too much because you do go on the road to Oxford, which we found out is at 2:30 now, and you are going to play an offense that is going to throw the ball. And you may end up facing an offense that is likely the most capable offense that you have played or will play up until that point. And they are likely going to score more than what Clemson and Florida did. And if I know a Lane Kiffin team like I know a Lane Kiffin team, he's going to continue to run his offense the way that he wants to run his offense, and it's going to be tempo, more tempo than what you've seen previously, and your defense is going to need you to keep them off the field. Like, you need to hold the ball and play keep away and keep this defense fresh if you want to go on the road and win. So give them something this week, Joe. Please. BK, whoever's in charge, give them something that they can work with and get Garrett some passes early, prove to himself in the world that he can do it, get some reps in early, get your guys out, hopefully by halftime, go put the game away and let Michael Van Buren and Colin Hurley take some snaps. Please, please give everybody else a rest. Go get ready to go on the road to Oxford. That's what I want to see from them. The last bit, and this is what I want to finish with, the coup de grace with this show. I want to talk about this defense. I want to talk about this defense, and I don't want to keep you here until midnight doing so. I know it's already 7:15, and some of you are probably trying to, already likely some of you are already trying to figure out why I haven't talked about them yet. But It's been a really long time since LSU has had the ability to say that they can hang their hat on the defense. This defense is disgusting. This defense, this defense has safeties that are literally blowing people out of the water like battleships. On there's another play, and I'm pretty sure it was Tamarcus Cooley that did it on a Florida screen play. They throw the screen out to the left side, to the left hash, the left boundary rather, and I'm pretty sure it was Tamarcus Cooley comes up and absolutely lights their receiver up as if it were like a Mack truck running through a nitroglycerin plant. I mean, just steamrolled his behind and flatlined him. Boom, gone, gone. And it was beautiful. And it has been missing from your team for several years, that mentality. Good on them, bruh. Good on them. Because you've got depth at linebacker. You've got depth at defensive line. Not only defensive tackle, you've got depth at edge. You've got depth at corner now. You've got the SEC leader in PBUs, and Ashton Stamps isn't even starting right now because he was passed up by PJ Woodland. And that's all before you get to your five-star freak show that's 7'3" and 13 quarters, picking the ball off in a home game at night against your heated rival. That's before you talk about the fact that you've got the defensive player of the week in the SEC isn't even your freaking starter at safety. You've got options at defense, bruh. You can lean on them, but not too much, because there is going to come a game, and maybe it's Ole Miss, that they are going to get tired, and you have to give them some break. You have to give them some break. Pedialyte and water can only get you so far. Like, you have to give them a break. But they're nasty. So shout out to Blake Baker. If we had awards to give out, it would literally and immediately go to that home crowd atmosphere and Blake Baker for what he's done. He has systematically cut down in half in year one what you were defensively, and then in year two has now brought your defense to, as it stands right now, a top 5 defense in the nation. And that may not even be doing it enough service. This defense is absolutely disgusting. And the only reason why, I shouldn't say the only reason, because you should give the opponent credit, there was a egregious holding penalty on the Florida drive that allowed them that 20-yard run to get inside the red zone and officially get that ball into the end zone. But that's neither here nor there. I need to see them continue to come out like that and wear their welder's cap to work and just keep frying folks, because that's what they're doing. They're literally bringing their welder's cap, just a blue flame, and just frying folks, bruh, because they are disgusting. It's not even a buzzsaw. It is like just a bonfire for those of you that are from the South. In the 11 days of winter that we have bonfires, and just sit by it. And when it's a billion degrees and you have to back up 10 or 15 feet, that's what this defense is. Just give them a little bit of room, give them a little bit of air, and just let them eat. Okay. And that's kind of where I wanted to really end it. I really don't know what else to say. It's a Southeastern game. It's an in-state school. There's really not too many keys to victory that I really think that need to be discussed here. Do your job. Try to work on the offense a little bit, such as to get yourself in rhythm, and try not to have all of that happen on the road at Oxford at 2:30. And then 3, get your starters out of there, get healthy, and get right for your first road game in conference. Because starting with Ole Miss, bro, you've got some games. I know you have a bye week after that, but you've got some games coming up. Okay, Lenore Sellers, a starting quarterback for South Carolina. He's in the concussion protocol. He will likely be back in time to be able to play you. There's no reason why he can't recover from a concussion and be back for your game. Whit Weeks obviously didn't play the entire game. He's going to want to play against Southeastern. Sorry, big homie. I need you to play 2 drives, 3 drives, 4 drives, and get out of there. I need you to be ready for Oxford. Your brother, too. Matter of fact, brother shouldn't even play. Neither should you. Let the 3rd weeks play. Matter of fact, do y'all have a 4th one somewhere? that we don't know about? Is he eligible? Does he have eligibility? Because apparently all that family does is birth freak shows at linebacker. Just get in and out of here healthy. Don't feel bad about yourselves. Get out here and assert your dominance. Shove that team in the locker and get out of there and get ready to go on the road to Ole Miss. And that's all that there should be. Okay, that's all there should be. And that's really it. Again, I apologize for the late go. I apologize for the setup with the phone and the wires, but the show goes on. I could not go another day without talking to y'all about it. Again, for those of you that weren't in here from the start, I am going to be on location for a work meeting for the duration of this week, so I will likely be on a similar setup for the for the full podcast with Russo and myself. But that's okay. The show must go on, and again, we're just incredibly excited to be here. We're incredibly excited to be able to do this. The outpouring of appreciation for this show. And Russo's show, Break the Chalk, and the Russo and Goodwin show, with which is us together, is humbling, man. It's really freaking cool. Like I'm just a guy that loves college football. I love to do this. I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do it. Again, shout out to some of the the local sponsors that that have hopefully in time going to maybe sponsor maybe the show in hopefully near future. Shout out to our folks over at Web Western, for those of you that like the sick hats, which I didn't wear tonight. But shout out to our folks over at Web Western. Incredible company. Hopefully getting some new merch on the way to show you guys. Maybe even do a giveaway for maybe 100 subscribers, maybe for 150, whichever one we decide. I'm thinking 100, but maybe a giveaway with one of those. And again, just incredibly excited for another week and another show here in the book. So again, thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you guys have afforded us the luxury of being able to do. And we look forward to seeing what this team can develop into. I know we spent literally our entire time on the LSU football team, but that's obviously what a lot of you are wanting to hear. So that's what we're going to talk about. And so, with that being said, that's going to put a button on our show. Love you guys. Can't say how blessed and privileged I am to be here. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.